Beef. A delicate substance that has shaped the world. And since it's a rival, it's only grown in its value and its use. Many cultures from around the world have consumed beef in one way or another. In Mexico, beef is put in tacos with lime and diced onions. In South Korea, beef is often paired with aromatic flavors like soy sauce, rice wine, and garlic. In Jamaica, beef is often in stews like oxtail. And in America, beef is in burgers, ribs, hot dogs, sort of. I really don't know about hot dogs, but basically beef is everywhere, and it's evolved into something violent. In the 21st century, beef has become bloody, gruesome, aggressive, unlike ever before. And there's no better way of showing the evolution of beef than the wonderful world of professional wrestling, within a little company known as All Elite Wrestling, between a white man from Virginia and a black man from Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Beef. Competition between rivals, all for the love of the game. And today, we are finally here to revisit the Swerve and Hangman feud. Now, if this is your very first time stumbling on this channel, or at least this series, I recommend you watching the first two parts before watching this video to fill you in on what's about to happen, because this chapter sets up what we'll see in the last. And once again, like the other two videos, I want to thank Dropmic Wrestling for their video that covers the complete rivalry from start to finish, as it's the catalyst to the last two videos as well as this one. So, without further ado, let's get started. So it's been almost 2 months since Hangman's brutal and horrific defeat against Swerve Strickland. And after going to war and damn near killing each other in a Texas death match, nothing would occur between Full Gear of 2023 and January 3rd of 2024, where our story resumes. So we pick up with Swerve taking on Mr. Wine and Dine Yo Bitch Daniel Garcia in a match on Dynamite. Swerve hits Garcia with the Swerve Stomp, then going for the pin, and surprisingly, Garcia kicks out. Then grabs Swerve going for a pin himself, and Strickland getting out of it. This does nothing but piss him off. Swerve gets a house call on DG, then goes for the zesty JML driver and picks up the win. So after the match ends, Danny, being the stand-up guy that he is, goes in for a handshake to Swerve as a sign of respect. But y'all gotta remember, Swerve's a heel at this time, and he don't do handshakes to loser ass niggas. So Nana from behind low blows DG, and Daddy Magic, which is a wild name, I'm not gonna lie to you, goes after Swerve? Like, time out real quick. My guy, the man that hits your boy is literally right behind you, and you go after the dude that didn't touch him? Not gonna lie, gang, you deserve to get your huevos cooked because you spun the block on the wrong dude. It really be guys like Daddy Magic that have one job and they can't even do that right. Like, get back, nigga! Nana then gets on the mic, blazing his man up like a Krispy Kreme donut, when suddenly, Hangman's music plays and he pops out, storming down the ramp into the ring and staring Swerve down. Swerve looks down and starts to smirk, which pisses Paige off even more. They start beating on each other until a shit ton of refs with security come out and stop them. Hey, no funny shit. Did y'all really need this many people to hold two grown men back? I mean, I could understand the Great Khali, DDG's music career, or Sexy Red's hoo-ha, because those things shouldn't be let loose in the first place. But these dudes do not need all these people to separate them. But I digress. So this is where the story gets very interesting for the two men, and the trump card gets pulled out. Because the man that enters this chapter is, in my opinion, a future Hall of Famer, a decorated champion in many promotions with a resume that is like no other, the face of multiple companies, being Ring of Honor champion, TNA champion, and NXT champion in his career, who faced legends and future legends alike such as Mitsuharu Misawa, AJ Styles, Bryan Danielson, Kenta Kobashi, which is a match that we'll cover once I'm done with the series, and so many others. He is one of the first guys that made me fall in love with wrestling and is arguably my favorite wrestler of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking. Tribe, how does Joe fit in this feud exactly? Well, let me tell you. You see, back in December of 2023, Samoa Joe faced MJF for the AEW World title at World's End. And what's crazy about this, before facing MJF, Joe was the Ring of Honor TV champ and the longest reigning one at that, holding the title for 574 days. And instead of losing the title and it going to someone else, he got on the mic and told everyone that he's vacating the championship. Do y'all know how much of a power move it is to drop the title that no one has beat you for? Like, Samoa Joe is technically undefeated with the ROH TV championship. I mean, 574 days is low-key nothing compared to what Athena's been doing. Like, Jesus Christ, that girl's been holding that title forever. And he dropped the ROH TV title to go after the AEW World title and beat MJF for it. So now let's move on to January 10th. Joe cuts a promo and just gets all the bullshit out the way. He states how he doesn't want wrestlers to just talk on the mic or on social media complaining about how the title should be theirs. He wants real competitors, people to challenge him and give him a reason to be a defending champion. And I ain't gonna lie, those are valid points. Just bring your record and your reputation. And Swerve heard this and said, I bet. He comes out with the Mogul Embassy reiterating how he, quote unquote, took Hangman's spot and is looking to do the same thing to Joe with the AEW World title. Then he threatens that if Joe takes it personal, Swerve would have no problem taking it further. And for a brief second, it was getting a little sus with how close they were getting at each other. Like, happy pride and all, but this ain't no time to get romantic.
And y'all niggas are gay.
So then Hangman comes out talking about his accomplishments from 2023. And although he did a lot of good things for the year, he lost sight of the AEW World title because of Swerve. Next, we get to January 17th. With Renee Paquette talking to Swerve. He talks about the main event and how he's been laser focused on the AEW World title, saying that he's become the most dangerous man going after it. Then she brings up Hangman, and surprisingly, Swerve complimenting him and his work, but unsurprisingly, brings up on how Hangman couldn't beat him. Later in the show, we then see Renee talk to Hangman, bringing up how Paige didn't have a heavy focus on the title, but now is locked in. Then she mentions having an interview with Swerve earlier and what he said about Paige not beating him. And this next thing he says just pisses me the hell off, because he then tells Renee that Swerve can't seem to get Hangman out of his own mind, and that Hangman doesn't even think about Swerve at all.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Why is this man lying on his wee-wee? He acting like Swerve ain't break into his house and violated his kid from the last chapter. Talk about, oh, I don't think of him. Like Swerve's a crazy jealous girlfriend, knowing damn well that's Hangman's vibe. And mind you, at this time, he had every reason to say that he thinks about Swerve, and no one would bat an eye. Because if a man vandalizes my home, I turn to Liam Neeson and Taken, or in real life. And then Hangman goes on saying that he's not worried about Swerve because he isn't the world champion, and that he'll be focused on the match between Hook and Joe for the title. But it didn't take much for Joe. He just put Hook to sleep and he retained the title. So after the match, for some stupid reason, Hook decides to talk shit at Samoa Joe, causing him to come back to the ring and whoop his ass even more. Bro thought he was gonna get the Undertaker treatment for having heart, but that nigga is not Jeff Hardy. And this just pisses me off. I don't know why Hook decided to do this. After getting his ass whooped even more, Hook once again opened his mouth. This man is not Moon Knight. He think he loved the pain when he really just loved making an ass out of himself. But thankfully enough, Hangman makes the save to stop Hook from getting sent to the gulag. And while Hangman is telling Joe to stay away from Hook, the camera cuts to Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana staring from the crowd. Next, we get to January 31st. Swerve and Hangman from the week prior got the chance to choose each other's opponents for this episode, with Hangman taking on Toa Leona and Swerve taking on the legend, the guy that we literally were talking about in the Sabu video, and Rob Van Dam. Both Swerve and Hangman get victories and remain undefeated to start 2024. And Samoa Joe throughout all of this was on commentary, studying both men's styles, abilities, and competitive nature. So after Swerve's match, Hangman comes out to remind him about the rankings for AEW dropping with both of them being undefeated, and he looks at Strickland dead in his eyes, telling him about wanting the world championship, then says, and I quote, "We'll never let that happen." Strickland laughs it off and reminds Paige that he's beaten him twice, and that Paige is upset that he can't keep up. But here's the thing, Swerve did in fact beat Hangman, but only through fighting unfair, and Paige brings that up. The Mogul Embassy interfered in both matches, whether it was Prince Nana or Brian Cage. It was never a clean one-on-one, and are we surprised? I mean, this man is the heel. Of course he's gonna say that he won fair and square. You think Spider-Man gets fair 1v1s versus the Sinister Six? That man has a gauntlet match every time he's with them. He is not Batman. Nigga, Batman beating up on the homeless, poor, and mentally ill. This is not even comparable. So Page gets under Swerve's skin and he decides to challenge Hangman for a third time. And that leads us to the February 7th edition of Dynamite, where we see the two take on each other in a 30-minute time limit match. Now, this is technically the third match in the entire series between the two, but y'all saw the thumbnail. Y'all really think we just gonna wrap it up after this match? Hell nah, we just getting heated up in this chapter. So Page knocks Swerve to the ropes and Strickland comes back with a boot to the face. Then Page comes back with a boot of his own and they just start going back and forth. Hangman gets another head off and Strickland starts to laugh with this sicko ass energy he's displaying. Page now goes up on the top turnbuckle but gets countered and his ankle gets stuck on the rope. And if you haven't seen chapter 1, which I highly recommend y'all watch, today is your lucky day because we see Swerve stomp on Hangman's face. Good lord. The amount of wrestlers that got hit with that stomp should consider reconstructive surgery. Hangman gets back into the ring and Swerve goes for a 450, just getting nothing but knees to his chest, with Page then going for the pin but Swerve kicking out. Page then goes for a deadeye and gets reversed with Swerve throwing him outside. And look at the core strength you gotta have to pull yourself back up. You leave it to Dave Blunt and that nigga might eat the rope instead. But Hangman gets over the rope and hits Swerve with a lariat, then going to the other side for a buckshot. He goes for another pin but Swerve gets his foot on the rope. And Page didn't peep how Nana was just standing there and rightfully assumed that he put Swerve's leg there. And look at Nana, bro was looking at Hangman like,
what do you say fuck me for?
Page would then hit a deadeye on the apron with Strickland lifeless. And I don't know why Nana didn't just yell at bro or smack him to wake up, but this man hits his little dancey dance and Swerve fucking beats the count. Ain't no fucking way. If I was Swerve, I would have stayed down because what type of Negro tomfoolery is this? I'm not getting up while you two-stepping and I'm dying. Fuck out of here. And Hangman tired of the minstrel show and kicks Swerve right back out, grabs a chair and clocks the fuck out of Nana. On God, I was hyped when he did that. I was up and out of my chair looking like this. The two are now on the apron with Swerve pushing Page to the ring post and setting Page up with a deadeye, going right through the table. Crowd going crazy and Swerve tries to get one more stomp off, but Page moves out of the way. Then goes for another buckshot with Swerve countering and getting the JML driver off. He then goes for a cover, but the bell rings and the time limit expires, counting the match as a draw. Swerve gets on the mic and he's pissed. This man decided to ask for 5 more minutes. And you know what Hangman's reply is?
No, nigga.
So then Tony Schiavone gets on the mic and announces that Tony Khan just made the match at Revolution a triple threat between Swerve, Hangman, and Samoa Joe. And Hangman is pissed. Bro finna go home and turn his house into a city after the Avengers saved the day. This man is legit tweaking the fuck out. But peep Swerve, that man is geeked up. Just when you think he's out, he ends up getting right back in. So now we move to February 14th, and Joe comes out and bashes both Swerve and Hangman. Swerve then comes out, reminding Joe about his new regime and how he fills all the boxes, basically explaining as to why he's the best fitted person to be the AEW World Champion. Then Hangman comes out and calls BS on the last match versus Swerve. He looked at him and tells him that he couldn't beat Page clean due to the match ending in a draw, and then tells Joe that the match should be just between him and Hangman. Then he gets up close to Swerve and tells him that he didn't deserve more time in the match due to the horrible things that he had done previously. Joe intervenes and reminds both of them who the hell he is, and letting them know that they can both get walked down on. Next, we move to February 21st with Swerve and Joe teaming up alongside Brian Cage to take on Hangman, Hook, and Rob Van Dam. Swerve is on the apron looking to kick Page's head off, but instead he accidentally hits Joe. Then Hangman grabs Swerve and put him through the table. And the thing here is, Hangman's goal in this match was apparently to injure Swerve, so that way it could be a one-on-one versus Samoa Joe at Revolution. Joe goes for a muscle buster with Hangman countering and ironically enough, injuring himself on the landing. Page then tags in Van Dam, but unfortunately taps out to Joe, with him, Swerve, and Cage winning the match. And that takes us to the following episode of Dynamite, with Hangman coming out in a crutch and telling the crowd that he won't be able to compete at Revolution. Then Swerve comes out and is surprised that Hangman is injured. I mean, I honestly don't know how you're surprised at the guy that you've targeted for the last year to be injured, but I would think you would be happy about this. He then goes on this little rant about faith and destiny. Then Joe comes out to clear some shit out. Samoa Joe explains that both Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page have been moving like a bunch of kids, which no lie is a fact. jacked and compliments them for being hungry and accomplished, but he quickly reminds them that they'll stay that way as long as Joe has the title around his waist. And then Swerve starts to spaz out at Joe, and while that's happening, Hangman out of nowhere smacks the shit out of Swerve with the crutch, showing that he's not even injured at all. He got this man Samoa Joe smiling, probably telling himself how this match finna be a breeze with how these two can't get out of each other's way. Then Hangman clocks Swerve right in the face and tells him that he's not coming out with the title at Revolution. So then we cut to this segment with Hangman about to leave, then he gets stopped and explains that him faking his injury was all a part of his plan because he knew it would lure Swerve out and give him a chance to hurt him even more. And this next thing he says really proves how far we've come from chapter 1. Hangman states, and I quote, "I would rather than have Swerve win the championship. I would rather than win the championship myself. I did what I had to do." And somehow, this isn't even the worst thing he's done. So finally, we get to Revolution. Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, and Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship. We just gonna get right to it. So Hangman and Swerve get in each other's faces on who gonna hit Joe first, but Joe said fuck that and he headbutts both of them and starts teeing off, getting both of them on the opposite corners. Swerve stops Joe's momentum, then tries to go for an attack off the middle rope, but in classic Samoa Joe fashion, he just moves out of the way. Bro is not looking to take a bump. Hulk Hogan could relate. Too bad he in hell fighting Chris Benoit in a cage match. She gotta be somewhere in heaven smiling right now. Joe gets a couple hits on Hangman, then runs to the ropes with Page going for a clothesline and ducking right into a dive to the outside, hitting Swerve. Then Hangman tries to get Joe while he ain't looking, but Samoa Joe got that ultra instinct because he clocks the fuck out of Page with a kick to his head. This man Joe was locked in the whole match and it was on sight for Swerve and Hangman. The two take out Joe together and then Swerve gets back into the ring to attack Page. He goes for a whip, but Page reverses into a fall away slam, then kips up like he did some amazing shit, with Swerve doing the same thing from behind him and booting the hell out of Hangman. Swerve gets pulled to the ropes with Page and he rolls through with Swerve on his Magic Mike shit, throwing Hangman into the corner. Then hits a dive attack and goes right back to doing that expired ass gritty dance. Swerve doing the gritty only gonna make the pale kids ruin it like how they did Fortnite. Next thing you know, they finna grow dreads and wear Black Panther inspired merch. Allen Iverson could relate. He had them Johnnies and Jimmies wearing cornrows and penciled on tats. They finna get jumped in the hood for appropriating the culture. So then we see Swerve hitting Page with an Irish whip to the other side. Then he goes over Swerve and hits him with a belly to belly suplex, going for a pin with Joe stopping him. Then he follows up with a powerbomb, pinning Page with him kicking out and catching him right into an STF submission. Swerve breaks the hold and Joe turns his attention right back to him. Joe then tries going for a superplex with Swerve breaking out of it and getting hit with a headbutt. Hangman then goes for a powerbomb but gets countered. Then Swerve tries and gets the same result. So both of them said fuck it and lifts his heavy ass, dropping him with a double powerbomb. And once they realized that they were together getting Joe out of the picture, the hatred reminded them that there's only going to be one winner. They both start to grill each other, then gets right back to squabbling with one another. Swerve tries going to the ropes and Hangman pulls him in and knocks him down. And peep this, Swerve's eye gets damaged and Page just targets it even more. But as this man keeps punching him, this man Swerve just starts to laugh, wanting more. Straight sicko ass energy. Hangman goes for a discus punch with Swerve ducking, rolling for a pin with Page getting out of it. Then tries going for a rolling flatliner, but Page catches him looking for a deadeye, and Swerve rolls right into a pin with Joe breaking it up. And peep this next part, y'all. I'ma keep it on slow-mo so y'all can understand how athletic pro wrestlers are. Hangman grabs Swerve going for a tombstone, but it gets reversed, and Swerve lifts him going for the same move. Hangman then shifts the momentum and rolls under him into the corner, then springboards off the middle rope into a moonsault with Swerve catching him, then turning the momentum again back into the tombstone piledriver. There's a lot of guys that can't do what these guys do. Niggas talk about how they want to get tortas but can't even lift a finger, let alone a dwarf like Lola Brooke. They fighting above their weight class. Joe once again breaks up the pin attempt, but it was a lot closer to 3 this time. So then we see Samoa Joe whipping Hangman to the corner, getting reversed, then almost gets the Uranagi with Page countering right into the boot into the face. Then Hangman turns his attention to Swerve, but Strickland decided to hit Page with a combo of moves. First, he reverses Page's deadeye into a powerbomb, then flips and rolls into a flatliner, then does a cartwheel into a suplex. Yo, real talk, Swerve was doing a little extra with all these acrobatic ass moves. Just get the job done, my guy. He goes for another pin, but Joe once again breaks the count. So then we see Samoa Joe throwing Hangman in the corner and sets up for a muscle buster. And as soon as he completes the move, Swerve's on the top rope and stomps the fuck out of Joe. Then follows up with a house call right to his head. But he got one more loaded up and clocks the hell out of Hangman. Then goes for the pin on Hangman with him kicking out. Next we see Joe in the corner getting kicked by Strickland with his foot caught on the middle rope, and Swerve lands a nasty DDT. Then goes for a 450 splash right on Joe's back. And peep Joe's face, bro looking constipated as hell. He looked like me after a bowl of Wendy's chili. Niggas bowels getting obliterated in the toilet. Swerve gets another stomp off, goes for the pin, and this time Hangman pulls the referee out to stop the count. Then he grabs the AEW title and bashes Swerve right in the head with it. And bro, look at Hangman's eyes. This man looks like he's been possessed. You could just feel the hatred spewing out of him. And here's the thing, this still isn't Hangman doing the worst of the worst, but from what we've seen in him from chapter 1 to where we are now in chapter 3, these are two different men. One man that is challenged and determined to prove Swerve wrong, while another is showcasing that Swerve might be right. Maybe Hangman shouldn't be the guy to carry the torch. Maybe Swerve had a point about taking Paige's spot. Another thing too, notice how the crowd is slowly turning on Hangman more and more because he's going against a lot of what his character represented due to the hatred for Swerve. On top of that, Swerve is starting to become the babyface in this feud, even though he was the reason for Hangman's descent into madness. This shit is so fucking crazy, bruh. And Hangman then just hits Strickland with the belt again, telling him that he'll never be world champ as long as he's around. Then goes for two buckshot lariats and connecting on both of them right to Samoa Joe. He goes for the cover, but then remembers that he took the ref out. Another referee comes out, but Joe kicks out at 2. And Paige is getting pissed at the referee for not counting fast enough, but this is a different nigga. He had him come out from the back because you took his mans out. Bro was probably having his lunch break and found out that he had to end it early because of this jackass. TK better be throwing that new ref a bag for this BS. So Hangman goes for another buckshot, but gets a counter into a sleeper hold. And as Joe locks it in and taking Paige to the ground, pause, Swerve comes from the top rope and lands a spiral tap on top of them, leaving all three men laid out in the middle of the ring. So Prince Nana decides to give Swerve his crown, looking to pop either Samoa Joe or Hangman with it. But in a moment of clarity, Swerve shockingly threw Nana's crown to the side, thus completely turning Swerve to somewhat of a tweener. But Joe takes advantage of Swerve's distraction and then puts him in the sleeper, with Strickland rolling into a pin and Hangman again attacking the referee. He doesn't realize that him not letting Swerve win is driving him away from the real objective, which is to beat Samoa Joe. And Swerve attacks Hangman for attacking the referee for a second time. Swerve throws Hangman out with Paige hanging on the rope and hitting Strickland with another clothesline. And Joe comes out of nowhere clocking Paige, then goes for the muscle buster on Swerve with him fighting it off, leading to Hangman getting another buckshot on Joe. Then Swerve comes from the top rope and hits his own version of a buckshot lariat. Strickland then gets the JML driver. Joe gets a half and half suplex off, then puts Hangman in another sleeper hold, but this time Paige decides to tap out, making Samoa Joe the winner and successfully retaining the AEW World Championship. And look at the disappointment on Swerve's face, asking why to Hangman. And to be honest with y'all, Hangman didn't tap because he couldn't handle Joe. He tapped because he hated to see the man that terrorized him for almost a year become AEW champion. Like Hangman preventing Swerve Strickland from becoming AEW champion in this match really proves how much he genuinely hated this man. And once again, I don't blame him. And with that, one final chapter left in this entire storyline. We are nearing to the end of this entire series, and this last chapter, oh my god, this last chapter is going to be insane. So be sure to like, comment, follow me on my other socials, and as always, until next time, y'all, Tribe signing out. Peace.